Hello everyone, I'm Tara, the dance doctor. Welcome to my channel. In today's lesson, I'm leading a twerking tutorial for total beginners. So if you've been wanting to learn how to isolate your hips, but you feel like it's too hard or intimidating, this lesson is for you. I teach a few different hip isolation movements, and then at the end of the video, I put them all together into a short practice routine for you. As always, there will be timestamps in the description box below so that you can find the section of the video that you are looking for. Also, if you love my content and you want to get early access to my videos, or you just want to support my YouTube dance school, you can go to my Patreon page and become a member. There's also a link to that in the description box below. We're going to get right into the lesson. I just want to remind you to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the post notifications so you can see when I upload more stuff like this. Now let's get dancing. Okay, so a few things that are important to know before we start. One is that the types of movements that we're going to be doing in today's lesson do require a bit of strength in our legs and flexibility in our legs and our back, strength in our core. So if these are things that you are working on, don't be surprised if this lesson is a little bit more difficult than it looks. But all of the exercises that I'm giving in this lesson will be really good for helping you develop those things further if those are things that you are already working on. The other thing that we want to know about twerking or these types of hip isolations is what makes the movements look so exaggerated and so beautiful is the fact that we are indeed isolating just one part of the body. A common mistake that people make is they try and move too many parts of the body and then it doesn't end up looking the way that we want it to look. So we are really going to be working on in this video, where do these movements originate so that we can get that nice isolation and emphasis in the correct place. Okay, so we are going to start with our feet about shoulder width apart. Oh, I wanted to say also, I'm wearing shoes, but some people do find this easier barefoot or just with socks on, so you kind of choose how you feel more comfortable. Being barefoot sometimes helps with balance with some of the things that we're going to be doing. But I'm chilly, so I'm wearing my shoes. We're going to start with our feet about shoulder width apart and slightly turned out to the side, okay? Not a lot, just about 1/8 of a turn, maybe a little bit less, okay? Now, we're going to bend our knees like we're doing a squat. So we're not gonna bend a little, we're gonna bend a lot to the point where you feel tension in your quadriceps. For the moment, we're not going to bend over yet, we'll get there, but to start, I'm just gonna have you be here, and I want you to see that when I bend, like I said, it's like a squat, so I am inclining forward a bit naturally with my torso. I don't want to be totally vertical because the movements that we're going to be doing won't be possible if my torso is totally vertical in this position, okay? So we're here, I bent my knees, I'm just using my back, my obliques, and my front abdominal. So I'm going back, side, forward, side. Back, side, forward, side. And you want this to be small. The smaller it is, the more isolated it is, actually the more visible it's going to be. If you try and make it too big, you're going to inevitably involve other parts of your body and then it won't look the way we want it to look, okay? So I'll do it from the side. We're going to start in neutral with our pelvis. We're going to send it back, which is tilting the pelvis forward actually. The pelvis is a bowl, and I like to think that I have water in the bowl, and when I am taking my hips physically behind me, I like to think about spilling that water forward onto the floor. Then I'm going to take my hips to the side. Then I'm going to use my abdominals to bring them forward, tucking the pelvis underneath, and then I'm going to take them to the other side. So I go back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side. As you can see, like I said, it's a small movement, and I am not using any extra movement in the knees at all. I'm creating it all just using my abdominals to create a pelvic shift. One more time. We go back, spilling the water forward, back, nice small movement, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side. You may also notice that the quality of my movement is pretty staccato. I am trying to find an end point for each one of my movements. I'm not doing a smooth movement. I'm intentionally creating a small movement, like I said, that has a defined end point so that our movements are not fluid, because having those little end points is what is going to give us the look that we are going for, okay? So we are going to do 4 times in each direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to reverse. So I'll go back and then to the left, forward, right. 2, 3, 4. And you might find that your legs are getting tired, but this is really good. You're going to get used to kind of maintaining that squat position so that we can continue to isolate our hips in this way. Okay, so we're going to try this exercise now with music. 5, 6, ready, go. Stick with that one, but now we are going to intensify this a bit. Like I said earlier in the video, now we are going to lean forward a bit more and rest our hands on our quadricep. Depending on your anatomy, I have pretty short arms, so I end up, what's comfortable for me is to turn my fingers inward and rest the heel of my hand pretty close to my knee, actually. It kind of depends on what you're comfortable with, and like I said, your anatomy, so do what works for you. But the point is that we're going even a bit lower than we were before. We're more inclined, and we are now putting pressure on our legs with our hands. And we're going to do the same exercise that we just did. So we're going to go back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side. As you can see, this is still a small movement with a defined end point going in each direction. Even more here, I feel like I have to really engage my core to create these movements, because this is not a very natural position for us to be in. There's a lot of weight on the legs. We're now even more tilted forward. Now there's weight on the arms as well. So I really have to work on engaging my core in order to create these pelvic movements, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing as we did in the last exercise, 4 times in each direction with the hands on the knees now, and we'll try that with music. 5, 6, ready, we go. 1. Other side. circles in those two different ways. We're going to work a little bit on up and down movements, or back and forward movements, and shifting the emphasis. So there's two different types of back and forward movements that we can use. One is with the emphasis up or back, so I'm going back, 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 or we can also do the emphasis down and then depend on the rebound to take us back. So that looks like this: down, 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 or forward, 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 forward. So we are going to now practice both of those. For the remainder of this video, I'm going to give you the option to either do the first stance that we worked on, just kind of a little bit more upright, not as far down in the legs, if that's already challenging for you, or if you want to try this stance, you can use that one as well. So I'll be kind of going back and forth between the two, but just know that it's up to you to choose which one feels better, okay? So we're going to start with the back, or the up emphasis with the pelvis. And again, that stopping point is very important. So what I feel when I do this is that I'm finding the limit of how far my pelvis can tilt forward, like I said, thinking about pouring that water forward without affecting any of the other parts of my spine. So a common mistake is to also use the rib cage, which is a different type of movement, but one that doesn't work for us when we're twerking or just isolating the pelvis. So keeping my thoracic spine and my cervical spine right where they are, I'm just taking my lumbar spine and my lower spine to the furthest point that it can go, again, without affecting any other part of my spine. So that's what we're really working toward, okay? So now we're going to be thinking about that as we do our back emphasis. The one other thing I want to say in this, when we're just doing the back emphasis, is that I'm actually not coming forward after I go back. I'm only coming back into neutral. It's another common mistake that people make to do this, which again doesn't have the same look as this. Because here I'm putting the emphasis back and then just coming back into neutral. If I put the emphasis back and then also curve forward, I'm really not putting the emphasis there. I'm just doing a steady movement in two different directions, okay? So we're thinking about finding that limit and then just coming back into neutral in the middle. So I'm going 1, neutral, 2, neutral, 3, neutral, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, neutral, 2, 3, 4. 1, neutral, 2, neutral, 3, neutral, 4. And in case you haven't noticed already, this is a really good exercise for the quadriceps, for the buns. It's fun to do something like that as exercise. If you did this for a full half hour, you'd be getting a really good exercise for your leg, and also gaining control and flexibility in your spine. So it's good for everything. Okay, so now we're going to try doing the back emphasis now with music, so you can see how this movement relates to the music. Ready, we go. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, double time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, and down 1. Okay, so now we're going to delve into the other forward and back, or up and down movement, which is the rebound from forward to back, okay? So now, instead of going back, neutral, I'm going forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. It's as if I'm running into something with my pelvis and then rebounding off of that, yeah? So a little different because now we're not coming back into neutral like we were before, but because our emphasis is forward, I just allow my pelvis to kind of float back at the end instead of really popping it out. So it has a different intensity, and we'll talk about it later in class how to combine these two because they do have a different dynamic and it's kind of cool to switch it up. So again, I'm going forward, 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 forward. But you see, I end up at the end back in my tilted position with the water pouring forward. Here, I'm running into something and allowing the pelvis to rebound off of it to send my pelvis behind me again. So let's practice that. Now we go. Forward and forward, 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 rebound, rebound. Okay, so now we're going to practice that one with music again so you can see how it differently relates to the music than the first one that we did. 5, 6, ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, double time. Warmed up now, so I took my sweatshirt off finally. Okay, so the next movement is the last one that we're going to be covering today, in which we use the forward and back movement. And this one, again, is going to be a little bit difficult for the balance. And again, we're going to need some core strength and some strength in the legs. And it might not be possible today, but I encourage you to continue to try it. Because I find that once you find your balance point in your feet, it actually is way easier than it looks. So what we're going to be doing is going down into a grand plie. And I actually, sorry, before we do that, I feel like my feet are like around hip width apart, but everybody's a little bit different. So you have to find a position when you go down, all the way down, that you can maintain your balance in. So it might be a little further apart, might be a little closer together, but for me, it is hip width apart and still with my feet gently turned out to the side. My knees are going to follow the trajectory of my feet. So I'm going to go down, and you can kind of just rock back and forth and try and find a place where you feel balanced. Important here, you want to try and center your weight over your big toe, or like at the joint between the ball of your foot and your big toe. That's where you want most of your weight to be, and that will really help keep you stable and keep your legs and your ankles engaged in the correct places so that you can balance in this position, okay? And I like to just kind of rest my hands on my knees. Eventually you could do things with the arms up in different positions, but for today's video we're going to keep our hands resting on our knees. And in this position we are going to practice that hip isolation that we were just doing, the out and the with the up emphasis, yeah? So the one that we did, not the last one, but the one before that. So I'm coming down into my position here. I'm just slightly, sorry, I'll turn to the side. Slightly inclined forward, but not too much. Again, you want to avoid being vertical here because it's going to take you too far back. Your pelvis will automatically tuck underneath if your torso is in neutral, and then you won't be able to isolate it. So you want to, when you go down, not go too far forward, just a slight incline. As you can see, my chest is going forward, and I'm going to go back, 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 back. As you can see, like I've been saying for this entire video, the movements are small, and that's what makes them noticeable. We don't want to try for too big of a movement because you will throw yourself off balance and you'll end up using parts of the body that we don't want to use, okay? So we're just tilting the pelvis so that the water's pouring forward and coming back into neutral. And back, 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 back. You may be finding at this point that balance is a little bit difficult. So like I said, you have to kind of practice it, feel it out. Your legs are probably getting tired. Mine are for certain. I already ran this morning, so I'm feeling it. But that's just a matter of practice, and you'll find that the more you do it, the more your body will adapt to the movements and your legs won't get so tired, okay? So I'll do that again. Coming here. And you may find also, you know, that you don't want to come all the way down, that you want to be kind of in the middle. That's fine too. For me, that's pretty uncomfortable. It puts a lot of strain on my quadriceps, but it is another option. You can decide how low you want to go. I just feel much more relaxed when I'm kind of all the way down, okay? So we're going to do that. We'll do it 16 times. We go 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So now let's try that with music. 5, 6, ready, we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And double time. Okay, so the last twerking or hip isolation concept that I'm going to be teaching in this video today is one that is different than the rest because it actually does involve changing the position of the knees in order to shift the position of the pelvis, okay? So what we're going to be doing is using the bend in our knees to tilt the pelvis up and down to each side, okay? So as you can see, if you just stand with your feet again around shoulder width apart and you just bend one knee and allow the pelvis to fall, what's going to happen is the action of bending that knee is going to tilt your pelvis down toward the bent knee. It's like if you took a table leg, a four-legged table, and you just cut one of the legs, the table is going to tilt toward the leg that's been cut, and that's exactly what happens when I bend my knee. So naturally, that's what your body wants to do, but because as we mature and grow, our body is constantly trying to keep us upright, your body may not want to allow your hips to tilt. So you really just need to allow them to do what they naturally want to do. Like I said, think about that table. Think of your body or your hips as that tabletop, and they're just tilting because you cut the leg out from underneath it. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other leg. Leaving this leg bent, you're going to bend the other knee. So we're going to go 1, 2. And as I bend this knee, naturally my hip is going to want to swing over to the other side. So I go and here. Now you can do this on either side. I've just gotten used to doing it on my right leg, so that's how I'm going to teach it, but you can for sure do it starting with the left leg. So we're going to go 1, 2, and now I'm going to straighten this leg back up, 3, creating that tilt again, and then straighten this leg up to bring me back into neutral, okay? So again, I go right, left, right, left, sorry, right. Right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right. Right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right. Now, as we get more comfortable with this coordination, I actually want us to think about keeping the knees just slightly bent the entire time. So when I come back into neutral, my knees aren't going to be locked straight. They're going to be just slightly bent. It's always going to be easier to isolate our pelvis when our knees are not totally straight. There are some movements where we will use a straight knee, but we're trying to make this as easy and simple as possible today, so we want to keep our knees just slightly bent the whole time. So I go from slightly bent to more bent. You get that feeling of falling. I'm here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And ideally, the feeling that you're getting is kind of this pendulum effect in the hips of they're swinging back and forth as a result of what the knees are doing. So the key word here is allow the hips to swing when the knee angle changes. One of the most common errors that I find in my students when I'm teaching them this knee and hip movement in many different contexts is that there's a certain amount of visceral or mental resistance to actually just allowing the hips to tilt side to side in reaction to what the knees are doing. So we need to just allow our body to do what it would naturally do if we weren't trying to think about constricting the movement. So now let's actually try it also on the left side. I don't ever want my students to be lopsided, so let's go ahead and try bending the left leg first now. So we're going left, right, right, left, 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 left, right, right, left. Okay? So now let's try. We're going to do each one 4 times with music. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Apply the movements and exercises that I've taught in today's lesson, okay? So we're going to kind of just go through the movements that we did in order, changing up the direction and the speed, but putting them all together. So this is what the routine looks like. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to slide this foot in and come down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow. 5, 7. Fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to come up. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and then from there, if you want, you can start the whole thing over again. So I'm going to do it now facing away. So I go. I'm going to start by going back. Again, you can choose if you want to be in a gentle squat or in the more exaggerated squat. So we go back, side, forward, side. And now we're going to go back, left, forward, right, back, left, forward, right. And a double time. Now I'm going to do my back emphasis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Forward emphasis. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to slide this foot in. For me, it's comfortable to do the left, but you can do the right if that works for you. And come down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Double time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Getting ready to do our hip tilt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8, and. Sorry, I told you the left I don't use as commonly as the right. So it's good for me, good practice for me as well. Let's do the whole routine one more time, and then we will try it with music. So we go 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Coming down. And 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. Up. Those aren't the counts, but we're fine. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So now, let's give it a shot with music. 5, 6, ready, we go. 1.
Thanks so much for joining me for today's lesson. Leave a comment below and let me know how you did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications for my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at DanceDoctorOnline. Until next time, keep dancing.